Good afternoon to everyone. As usual, we are again with the weekly program of AP State Council of Higher Education, a prestigious program which was initiated by our chairman, Professor K. Hemchandra Reddy, 1.5 years back on April 2021. Running successfully for the last 1.5 years. Every Friday, 3 to 4, we'll be having this program. It will be on live on Friday, but in the YouTube channel of AP State Council, actually talked the book channel. All the previous episodes also can be viewed by the students. This program is initiated by Professor K. Hemchandra Reddy just to inculcate a habit of reading books, because the generation has not seen the best of the books so far. They are more of associated with the tech savvy and associated with the Facebook and the so-called other multimedia components. So inculcate this habit of book reading by reviewing a beautiful book for within 1 hour time, because the students are not in a habit of going for a longer duration. So made it a 1 hour program in the YouTube channel so that they can have it in a later time also. So as usual, on Friday 3 to 4, we have this program. This program is in both English as well as Telugu language books. The expert reviewers will be taking care of the reviewing the books in different aspects. Basically, may be useful to the student community at large. Today, we have with us in the Talk the Book series, the book review. The book reviewer is Dr. Sujatha Menon. The book is My Sainted Ants by Bulbul. Regarding the introduction of the reviewer of today's program, Dr. Sujatha Menon is essentially a die-hard and passionate teacher. She is an associate professor at Witt University, Nellore. She has been teaching for more than 26 years at the tertiary level. She has many publications to her credit and has conducted more than 60 workshops, webinars, and training programs. She is a storyteller and is deeply interested in oral storytelling, myth and mythopia, neurocognition, technology-enhanced language learning, and material design. She won the Excellence Award for publication in Zazan University in 2019 and the Guru Shrestha Award Excellence in Teaching in 2021 and 2022 at Shastra University. So we have got the reviewer, a passionate storyteller, who's going to review the book My Sainted Ants. I'm leaving it to you, Madam, Dr. Sujatha Menon.
Am I loud enough?
Yeah.
Thank you. So a very happy good afternoon to all of you. In fact, I'm very happy that such an initiative has been spurred on for the benefit of the student community. And in this regard, I owe a great deal to Professor K. Hemchandra Reddy for this wonderful initiative. See, to kickstart something as memorable as this, as wonderful, as remarkable as this, truly deserves credit. Okay, so let me share my screen with you. So this is the book that I'm going to review, My Sainted Ants by Bulbul Sharma. Now, this is not a hot bestseller like any of the Dan Brown series or any of the Harry Potter series, any of the Chetan Bhagat series. No, this is a book that has been lying dormant for a very long time. This is a book that has been unrecognized for a very long time. And so I decided that I will exercise my basic right as a reviewer to throw some light on the significance of this book. Okay, it's almost 3 decades old. It was published in 1992. So we are well into 2023 right now. So it's 3 decades old. Not many people even know about this book or this writer. So I thought I will choose a book that not many people know about, so that at the end of the review session, you will have something to talk about, something to base a research article on in the near future. Now, when we say a book review, the first thing is any talk needs to be structured. So how am I going to structure my review? The first thing I'd like to talk about what a book review is all about. When we say a book review, what exactly are we talking about? What exactly are the requirements? And I wish to bring out the basic difference between a critic and a reviewer. Where do each of them stand? And when we say book review, is it just the contents of the book, or is it the periphery as well? And if at all I should cover the periphery, why? What is the reason behind it? After this, I'll be moving on to the book per se. So I'll talk about the author, Bulbul Sharma. I will talk about the way in which the book is structured, the nature of the stories in the book, the elements of the story, and what is Bulbul Sharma's treatment of each of the characters, each of the narratives, each of the events in the story. Is there humor? Is there pathos? Is there a blend of both? And finally, I will move on to societal concerns. What exactly is Bulbul Sharma's intention? So let's presume that perhaps this is one of Bulbul Sharma's intentions in bringing out this book. So this is how I plan to structure my review. Now, let's go on to the first point. What is a book review all about? See, often in journals, you have one particular section called book review, where you have a page-long review about a particular book. Now, what exactly are the do's and don'ts of a book review? This is the first thing that you need to know. I checked a lot of books, and there weren't many on how to write a book review or how to speak out the review of a book. There was just Dalhousie University from Nova Scotia, Canada, that spoke about the essentials of book reviewing. And according to them, when you say a book review, there are many questions that come to our mind. So, should a book review be descriptive, or should it be critical, or should it be descriptive and critical? Now, I want you to take a look at this. You have a very short review at the back cover. Okay, in the back cover of the book, you have a very short review. So this is a breezy review. It is a very short and sweet review. It's, where you have the review, you're just skimming the surface, not providing any detailed insights. But for a reader like you, this also matters. You have a few points that will help you find out what this book is all about. It gives you a basic idea on what this book is all about. See, in those days, in Greek drama, you had the chorus. The chorus used to appear on stage, and mostly they used to foretell what was going to come. So you should treat it as a kind of verbal chorus here. So this review is your launch pad. Things start from here. So that is why I said the periphery, the external, the marginal is also important here. So this part is where the actual review begins. A breezy, very short and sweet review, but this is where the actual review begins. Okay. Now the next question. Should it be descriptive? Yes. If it is a good review, it should be descriptive. It can't be too detailed because then it becomes a research article. It can be descriptive, but it can hold a maximum of 2 pages when it is a written book review. Because if anything which goes beyond that enters the realm of a research article. So it is nice if it is descriptive. Obviously, it should be critical, but you will not follow one particular school of thought like a critic. So that is where the critic differs from the reviewer. A reviewer will provide a detailed description or an analysis, but it will be an overall analysis and not focusing on one particular school of literary criticism. For example, if I'm going to look at my Saint Dance today in today's review, I'm going to provide you a bird's eye view. I'm going to provide you a general overview of what Bulbul Sharma's My Saint Dance is all about. I'm not going to be taking a feminist stance. I'm not going to be taking an archetypal stance. I'm not going to be taking a structuralist stance. No, that's not what a reviewer does. That falls under the realm of the critic. So if you say critical, yes, I can be critical, but overall, I'm not going to stick to any particular school of thought. A critic, on the other hand, is different. A critic can go in depth to the point of hair-splitting logic and can provide detailed insights, penetrative, detailed insights on what the book is all about from the point of view of a particular school of thought. I can, if I'm a critic, I'm going to analyze it from a culture studies point of view, from a structuralist point of view. So there lies the difference between a reviewer and a critic. Now, regarding the reviewer and the critic, is there a hierarchy of power? Is there a hierarchy of glory? Yes, definitely. On no given day can a reviewer match the glory that a critic attains. See, because book reviewers are just people who stay along the margin. We mostly work behind the screens. But if we were to write a detailed critical research article, well, its magnitude differs. Its importance differs. So on any given day, if you're going to look at glory, the critic takes it all, most of the time. Now let's come to this. Is the periphery necessary? Meaning, is the front cover page necessary? Is the back cover necessary? Are the illustrations necessary? Do you have to focus on the number of pages, the type of paper? For example, this particular book is printed using eco-friendly paper. That's what Penguin Random House claims. So if this is printed using eco-friendly paper, what is the purpose behind it? It indirectly shows that Penguin has eco-friendly concerns. It's, moving towards environmental sustainability. All that is fine. Now, in what way does it help you? I'll come to it in the next slide. And are interviews of the writer necessary for us to learn? Yes, definitely. They are very important. When you take up a book, please make it a point to read up any interview that appears on blogs or which you happen to read in any of the critical series that you get in your libraries. The reason being, any interview that you get to read about the author, about the poet, whoever it is very important because it sheds light on the authorial intention, the authorial process in general. So on any given day, this will help you in analysis and interpretation. So that way, it's very important. This is the cover page. Yes. The first slide showed you the cover page. This is the cover page. Now, for your kind information, Bulbul Sharma is a very famous illustrator. Okay, she's a very famous painter, illustrator, and also a writer. She's Delhi-based. She is an illustrator and a writer. Now, you see her in a painting workshop, teaching children how to use organic colors and to, draw tails on paint. But for your information, she did not illustrate her book. She did not do the illustration for her book. So why is that the case? Many writers have illustrated their own books. For example, J.R.R. Tolkien illustrated his own book, The Hobbit. There is a rumor that even T.S. Eliot drew the illustrations for one of his books on cats. James Thurber, the famous cartoonist, created his own illustrations. His famous short story, Unicorn in the Garden, has an illustration, and it is very clear that Thurber himself drew the illustration for it. So one begins to wonder, why didn't Bulbul Sharma illustrate her own work? Well, it's $1 million question. And this is Nitish Mohanty, the person who illustrated Bulbul Sharma's, book, My Sainted Arts. So all these come into play. See, because all these days, all we focused on is the content inside. But these days, we have to understand the process of publication. The behind the screens work as well. So all this also counts. Now, this was one of the questions asked to Bulbul Sharma during her interview with the Indian Express. What do you think about literary success versus number of copies sold? Now, this is what I told you. Every interview offers you insights about the author. See? She says it's a very rare combination. It's rarely possible. Either you have literary success or you sell a number of copies. Bulbul Sharma is now quite well known in the literary circles, but her books have not sold too many copies. For your kind information, 1992, an imprint of HarperCollins published My Sainted Arms. 14 years down the line, you have Penguin publishing it. So you don't have so many copies sold. You don't have second, third, seventh, eighth, ninth editions coming out. It is not that way. So you have Bulbul Sharma very humbly saying, yes, I do feel jealous when writers sell millions of copies. But when somebody comes and tells me, look, I'm able to relate with that particular character, then I'm content to be where I am. See? So this is something that you need to understand. Now, as I told you, Bulbul Sharma is a Delhi-based author. And you find that she writes a lot of short stories, a few novels as well. All these are a series of short stories. These three particularly focus on women. Now that I'm 50, focuses largely on women who turn 50 and about the physical and pathological changes that take place, the psychological changes that take place, how their dear and near react to those changes, things like that. Now, next you have the anger of the aubergines, meaning it's about brinjal, and about women who prepare brinjal, and about her relatives, and about their lives, things like that. Again, you have something on women and food, eating women telling tales. Now you find that there's no punctuation here at all. Eating women telling tales. You can look at it that way, meaning women who are eating all the time, who like eating and who like telling tales, or eating, women telling tales. So it can be any way. You can look at the title anyway. And then, of course, she writes a lot on mythology. You have her book on the Ramayana for children. You have fantastic creatures in mythology. Well, this is a novella, The Tailor of Giripul. And of course, like My Sainted Arms, you have My Travels with My Aunts, which is equally humorous. You have Secret Tales from the Himalayas. It's again a collection of short stories. And remember, she's a painter. She's a bird watcher also. And so she writes about birds in her garden. So this is about her works in a nutshell. You have her writing a lot of books on mythology. You have her Ramayana series. You have Ramayana for children. And you have fabled beasts and other creatures in mythology. You have so many of her books based on mythology. And she's a very good storyteller. So this is about our friend Bulbul Sharma. So let's move on. So now that I told you about the cover page and fair kind information, you have 173 pages here of content. Okay, there are 8 stories in this book, My Sainted Arms. And these 8 stories span 173 pages, which means it is easy reading. It's easy and breezy reading. So you have 8 stories, all centered around the arms. But there again, I have an issue with the 5th story, RC's first holiday. There, the focus is largely on the aunt's husband than on the aunt. Although the aunt Protima is given some importance towards the end, where she decides to take life and treat it in her own way, you do find that there's more focus on the aunt's husband. That's the only thing I found in this story. But all the other stories focus mainly on the aunts. Okay. So these are the 8 stories. Now you have something on Maya Devi's London Yatra. Maya Devi is an aunt, okay, and she's very old. Nobody knows her age because her age keeps changing depending on her mood. And one of her sons, Amit, goes to London to pursue his, his doctoral degree in dental science. And after that, the boy has a great fear for flying. So he does not come to visit his mother. 40 years pass and he still does not come to visit his mother. So Maya Devi feels that one fine day, she must go and visit her son. So she says that boy has always been a sissy. Even lizards used to frighten him at the age of 15. So I will march up to his very doorstep and show him who I am. So she makes plans to go to London and to meet her son. So it's about the events which precede her London Yatra and about her stay in London for a week. Okay, I'll just read out a particular set of lines. Now, when Mayavati decides to learn English in order to go to London, this is what everybody thinks about, She takes up her grandchild's primer book, English primer book, and every day she practices, after she finishes reading her Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita and all that, she takes up this English primer and she practices it. Although she's heard English and although she can understand a little English and can read English to some extent, she's not very good at it. So, like a warrior, she braves herself to the situation and she takes up her grandson's English primer and she starts reading, and it goes on like this. Did Jack fetch the bucket? No, Jane fetched the bucket. The way she reads the mantra, she reads it that way. The servants did not dare come near the study area, but watched her nervously from the kitchen doorway. They were sure she was learning English only to terrorize them. At her age, she should be reading only the Gita, not repeating jata like a parrot, they said. But only within the safety of the servants' quarters. The lesson unnerved the cook so much that he stopped fiddling with the marketing accounts and turned honest, in case the old lady, armed with the English language, got him out. So this is what happens. And it's about how Maya Devi makes her way to London. And it's about her dominating, steely nature, even at the airport even in the flight, at the immigration, and with her son, and how there is a change towards the end. She's not as steely as people think she is. Towards the end, she melts down when she sees his son's wife, who is a Londoner, Martha. When she sees Martha's attitude towards her, finally there is a melting of her own emotions. So this is what you have in Maya Devi's London Yatra. Okay, there's one more very humorous part of it, where Maya Devi actually boards the flight. The air hostess, with her plastic smile, with her sweet plastic smile, comes to her and says, "Can I adjust your seat, madam?" "Why you adjust my seat? Huh? I know sick. No touch my seat." So the girl is shocked. Her smile freezes. Next, at the immigration. At the immigration, there is a young guy, and generally he's not the type who smiles at anybody who arrives at the immigration. But then, he takes pity. Okay, old woman. And so he smiles at her. But in return, she gives him a very, bold and dead fish stare. And he immediately calls for an interpreter. He thinks the woman doesn't know anything. "I speak English. You speak English with me." The immigration officer cleared his throat and said, "How long do you plan to stay in UK?" So when Maya Devi gave him a dead stare once again, he doesn't know what to do. He repeats the question, "How long do you plan to stay in the UK, madam?" "No need to say again. I answer you. I stay in your land 1 week only, not a day longer. You can tell your Queen Victoria." The guy laughs and says, "I'm sure this old bird is not lying to me." So you have Bulbul Sharma interspersing a lot of humor here in Mayavati's London Yatra, and about how Mayavati behaves at her son's place, how she ignores Martha completely, and how after Martha's gone, she inspects everything in the room, and she tries to find fault in case there are cobwebs or in case there's a lot of dust, and how she's very disappointed that there are no cobwebs, there's no dust, and the house is spick and span. And finally, how she changes towards the end. So this is about Mayavati's London Yatra. Bishnupur landing is about Neelima and how she never liked to go to school, and how there used to be 3 people who used to drag her to school. One was the maid who did most of the dragging to school, first to the car and then inside the school compound. Then the boy who was supposed to be assistant to the maid in carrying her bag and in helping the maid push her into the car and then into the school, into the classroom. And then the driver, whose job was to quieten her loud crying and to tell her, don't cry, I'm going to show you this on the way and that on the way. So it's about Neelima, who gets married quickly at an early age of her own choice because she hates school, and how she's treated as a bride, how there are a lot of superstitions that surround every family, and how Neelima takes it very coolly in the end. She does face a lot of hurdles. Not that they ill-treat her, no, definitely not. There are too many superstitions and she has to follow them. She feels so restricted. But then, towards the end, she smiles and says, okay, one fine day I'll be grown up. On that day, I will have a will of my own. And that's her positive thinking that you have in Bishnupur landing. Aunts and their ailments. Well, you have Meera, a little girl traveling with her 2 aunts. And, these aunts encounter a stranger, another widow on train. And these 3 aunts are widows. And at first, it's like tu meme, is it you or I? They're not ready to leave their seat for this lady. They look at her with antagonism. Oh, you're a widow and you eat chicken. See, Vesharam. shameless woman. And then how, when they've learned that she's a doctor's wife, and when she also begins to be very friendly with them, how they change. All this is in answer their ailments. Now, a child bride talks about Minnie, who's still a child, a little girl, and who's married off early, and how she finds everything terrifying in her in-laws' place. Her mother-in-law is almost like an angel. She uses sandalwood scent, and she's very beautiful to look at. She glides by like a fairy all the time, patting the little girl and then forgetting all about them. And how Minnie comes in touch with her husband, Arjun, who's also a little boy like her, and how the two of them play games. And there, Arjun's elder brother's wife, who's also a little girl. Her name is Uma. At her in-laws' place, they call her Prabha. And she's a child widow. So all these are the experiences that Minnie encounters. And Child Bride also talks about how that relationship she has with Arjun, it's sustained till her very death. See, I'd like to just read. It's about the two of them having fun, and he gives her a bright green, bluish green feather, and he blows it and it lands on Minnie's maid's head, and you know that in most families, the maids accompany the mistresses, the young mistresses when they get married. So the two of them are mimicking the maid's walk and how the feather sits on the maid's head like a plume, and Minnie forgot about Uma. Uma is the name of the child widow. Her name is Prabha at in-laws' place. Her real name is Uma. Minnie forgot about Uma and laughed happily, watching her husband as he mimicked the maid's walk. It was the first of the many joyfully shared secrets of a lifetime ahead. And the last paragraph says, they found the feather under Minnie's pillow when she died 70 years later. The bright blue had faded to white, but it was as perfect as it had been a lifetime ago. So this is what you find in a child bride. See, this is what is important. Even after 70 years, she's preserved that feather, which means she cherished that relationship with her husband. They've had a wonderful marital life. That is why she preserved that feather. Well, RC stands for Ratna Chandra Banerjee. He is a High Court judge, and he decides to take his family for a vacation. He's a very strict man, very chauvinistic. Women shouldn't talk loudly. There should be no loud music. There should be no films. There should be no unnecessary laughing. There should be no unnecessary crying. There should be no unnecessary shouting of hawkers on the streets. People shouldn't play loud music all the time. People shouldn't laugh loudly all the time. People shouldn't eat too much all the time. People shouldn't drink coffee too often. So you have a whole list of what he likes and what he doesn't like. People should be very punctual. So it's about life from a male chauvinist's point of view. One fine day, he decides to take his family for a vacation. He wants to take them to Mathura and then to Rishikesh. And the women are first shocked because they're not used to it. He has a daughter who was born to him much later in life, Ruma, his wife Protima, and his mother. His mother's like shocked. Why is he taking us for a holiday? Does he think we are children? Has he gone mad in his old age? She asks. His wife is frightened. She says, what if we go wrong? We've never been out of the family. So imagine, she's never even come out of the house, and she's never even spoken to her husband properly. And for your kind information, this man's never even spoken directly to his daughter, Ruma. And how there is a change, how seeds of rebellion are sown in the minds of the women during this vacation, and how RC also changes towards the end. That's what RC's first holiday is all about. Now, to Shimla and Tonga. This talks about Anima, who again, like Maya Devi, is very strong in will. She's very young, very gentle, but very reserved, doesn't talk much. And how she falls in love with a young man called Anand. And Anand and Anima get married with their parents' support. And how she travels to Shimla because her husband is posted there and he has to work for the British. And about how strong-willed Anima is. You know, she doesn't learn the English language. And her respect for Gandhiji, her anger on seeing her own people treated badly in their own country while the colonizers walk scot-free. So all this you will see to Shimla and Tonga. You will see Anima's strong-willed determination throughout. But in the background, whatever Bulbul Sharma presents, you know, that is really a lot to ponder about in terms of colonialism and post-colonialism and about the colonizer and the colonized and about hegemony, everything. Now, trials of a tall aunt. Here you have Gajanath and Roopbala. Gajanath and Roopbala are engaged to be married. Their parents decided that they should get married when the two were just infants. So God knows what strange genes work. Roopbala becomes very tall. She's 5 feet 10 inches. And Gajanath is only 5 feet 4 inches. Imagine, you know, in a patriarchal, chauvinistic society, when a wife is way taller than the husband is the butt of jokes. The husband takes it as a serious ego issue. And Roopbala one day tries to safeguard herself when he aims his gun at her. So she just turns it around and there's a scuffle. And suddenly she sees blood and there's a fall. You know, the curtain falls on Gajanath and she thinks he's dead. So she runs away from home, taking some money with her. She shaves her hair. She calls herself a widow. She lives on alms. She begs. She does odd jobs in temples. And that's how she earns her living. Okay, she becomes a flower seller and things like that. And one fine day, she sees Gajanath coming with another woman. And she's shocked. And that woman is very short, way shorter than him. And she asks, do you want flowers? And she sees that this guy has cataract. There's a thick film over his eyeballs. And he says, what did you say? Whose voice is this? What did you say? What did you say? And she keeps quiet immediately. And immediately his wife, who's much shorter than him, comes from behind. Idiot! What were you trying to do? Huh? Were you trying to give money to that beggar woman, to that flower seller? Wasting our money, fool that you are. And Gajanath very quietly follows his wife without a demur. When Roopbala was around, she used to take care of every one of his needs. She stayed invisible in the house because he couldn't bear the very sight of her. So this is what you see in Trials of a Tall Aunt and how she undergoes a lot of torture at the hands of her mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law literally stings her with words. God knows what they feed her on, that she's grown up like this. No dignified woman should be this tall. What has height to do with dignity? So this is what you find in Trials of a Tall Aunt. Now, life in a palace. Here again, Geeta is abandoned by her husband, meaning he decides he's going to become a sadhu or a sannyasi one fine day and he leaves her. And you know, Geeta decides to go away. She wants to go to her friend's house in Nagpur and there she wants to find a job and settle down. But then she also knows that her husband's relatives, her parents, cousins and others will always find her there. And when she says that she is going to lead her own life, on both sides there is stiff opposition. How can a woman live alone without a husband? She has to be under the control of somebody. And Geeta finds the Rani of Jaisalmer, and there, she accompanies the Rani and her two daughters, and she, settles down in the palace. She's after all a maid, but the Rani ma never treats her like a maid. They treat her like one in the family. They treat her with love and respect. And the Rani ma never even shouts at her servants. She scolds them, but very gently, very lovingly. And towards the end, her husband comes there and he says, "Come, I've come to take you." She says, "I've come to take you home." She says, "This is home." "What home are you talking about? I don't have any other home. This is home. I'm not coming anywhere. I have found peace here. This is home." Rani Ma understands the tussle. Very quietly, she comes up. She says, "Beta, you haven't eaten anything, I think. Come. I'll get you some food and some buttermilk. Don't worry about anything. Come." And she tells Geeta, "Here, take him to the kitchen. Get him something to eat." And Geeta understands that she's found real peace at last. So this is about life in a palace. Okay. Now, why is the title "A Sainted, My Sainted Aunts"? In what way are they sainted? So generally when we say saint, we talk about them in terms of purity, in terms of devotion, in terms of their spiritual mindedness and all that. So why does Bulbul Sharma say, "My aunts are sainted"? This is worth thinking about now. This is what you really need to think about. Why does she say, "My sainted aunts"? In what way are they saints? Okay. Now, the first thing you will observe is that all the characters, all the 8 aunts described in her stories are round characters. Maya Devi, very steely, very dominating. Even when one of her sons tries to teach her a few words of English, "All these years I ran the house and your father without anybody's help. So don't come and teach me anything. Okay? Leave off the butter and you tell me what you want from me." That type of a person. So that person who has never smiled often or spoken kindly to people, that woman changes towards the end. For the first time in her life, when Martha gives her a gift, which nobody has ever given, her husband would get her whatever she wanted, but had never gifted her with something. The same with her sons. So when Martha gifts her with a sweater, she first takes a blue. "Ah, no, 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 only white, only white. Widow, only white." So she takes a fluffy white sweater for her and she says, "This is for you." Maya Devi has no words to say. For the first time, she realizes that somebody has gotten her something. And the next day, she drinks the tea prepared by Martha. Although she doesn't smile or say thank you, Martha understands what kind of sacrifice it means for Maya Devi, a woman who would not even allow anybody to touch her sari. And she tells Martha, "When I die, you come. My fool son, no come. You come. Good girl. Thank you very much." Maya Devi changes. Neelima, towards the end of the story, when everybody is eating prawns and she has to be in a hut owing to some superstitious ritual, she says, "Okay, someday my life will also change. Oh God, right now I desperately want to be in school." The same Neelima who had to stage a demonstration every day to go to school now thinks, how I want to be in school. Anima, who first tried to be nice to her husband, who wanted to do things this way, and who finally decides that she will do things only her way with regard to her own, feelings of patriotism. Geeta, who says, "No, I'm not coming home. This is home." Bala, who decides that she's going to take life the way it is. Her heart feels so light when she sees Gajanath alive. She realizes that she's going to lead life her way. Every one of the aunts, Arsi's wife Protima, the woman with whom her husband hasn't even spoken much in all her years, finally she says, look, don't ask me what I'm doing and where I'm going and all that. Let me take a tour around the place. I'll come back when the time comes. Just leave me alone. So all the aunts are round characters. They take bold moves. Now even the child bride Mini, she doesn't know who a widow is, what all that means societally. She sees Uma with shaven hair, this hair like a boy wearing white sari. She says, why are you wearing white sari? I'm a widow. What is the meaning of widow? My husband is dead. Oh, did he live for 100 years and then die? Because Renu Kaki, meaning the maid, Renu Kaki said, my husband will live 100 years. He fell from the roof, fool that he is. Since then, I've been wearing white. And, in all innocence, this girl, Prabha, that's the name given to her at her in-law's place. And her name is Parbati. The name given to Mini in her in-law's place is Parbati. She says, come Parbati, I will teach you how to do puja. And, not knowing that she's a bride, she also makes her wear white. And Arjun's grandmother, father's mother, she walks in and she beats this girl. How dare you dress a bride in white? You witch, you've taken away one grandson, now you want to take away the other. And she tries beating her. And Mini understands that this girl deserves to be treated kindly. She's a child. You know what she does? She immediately latches on, she jumps like a monkey and latches on to the fat old lady's tummy. She bites her stomach. She digs her teeth deep into the old lady's stomach. The old lady tries to wring her off, shake her off. Nothing happens. They go round and round with Mini hanging to her stomach like a monkey. So bold moves. Rup Bala taking a bold move of leaving the house. Geeta taking a bold move of leaving the house. Anima taking a bold move of showing her husband that she is going to, spin the wheel and she's going to spin clothes, homespun. She's going to wear only homespun clothes at home. So they take bold moves. That is why sainted. They're all very strong-willed. They are detached in a sense and extremely determined. Extremely determined. There's no shaking their determination in any sense of the word. Moralistic. Nobody compromises on morals. That doesn't mean this is not my personal opinion or anything. I'm not doing any policing here. But here from Bulbul Sharma's point of view, they're all moralistic. Even given a chance, nobody compromises on morals. Detached. They love their children. They show concern for their children, for their dear and near, but still with a sense of detachment, like saints. Sincere and upright. None of them cheats, does anything wicked, does anything, strays from the path of virtue. Sincere, upright, absolutely frank and straightforward. So that is why the adjective sainted is added to aunts. Now let's move on to the societal concerns. I told you the last part of my book review, the societal concerns. Now, what do you mean by the societal concerns here? Number one, societal impact on marital relationships. Now, in Aunts and Their Ailments, Meera is traveling on a train with 3 of her aunts. And I told you, at first they're very antagonistic to a fellow passenger who's also a widow. And then when they find out that she's also a nice lady and that she, is the widow of a doctor, and when she tells them about diseases, they become very fascinated and they become very close friends. Now, these 3 aunts very carefully go up to the ticket conductor and ask him, where is our place in the train? This is the train. Where is our place? And the ticket conductor says, he takes the list and he says, tell me your names. And the eldest aunt, Meera wonders why her aunt has undergone this change of expression. She calls her Boromashi. And Boromashi is not ready to open her mouth to say things. But why not waste of time? Then she understands that Boromashi had forgotten her own name. And Meera understands that nobody ever called her by her real name. So Boromashi had forgotten her own name. See, the question of identity. What happens? Your name is the first thing that counts as your identity. She doesn't even know her name, her name. She says, Banerjee, you look at Banerjee. Where are you missing time? And then the ticket conductor sees three, all the aunt's late husbands had the name Banerjee. So he sees three Banerjees and a minor female's name. Okay, go. That is your compartment. Identity. What happens? Now, widows. Again, a child widow. How is she treated? And again, when Roop Bala, thinking Gajanath is dead, when she declares herself a widow, the kind of exploitation that happens, people saying, come, I'll pray for your husband's soul, give me money, I'll perform this puja. Again, dowry. Mini is dark-skinned. She's very dark-skinned. So they have to compensate by giving a lot of dowry because Arjun is fair-skinned. Her husband Arjun is fair-skinned. And the women pass very embarrassing and degrading comments about her complexion. It's a kind of body shaming that they openly indulge in. Not understanding that even a child bride is a child, a human being at heart. Dowry, role played by dowry. And even, Arjun's grandmother, oh, she's so dark. But, oh, I heard her father is very rich. Okay. Her nose is nice. Cover her up in all the gold. It will hide her color. So dowry playing a very important role. Why is it that Gajanath did not reject Roop Bala? Because his parents had already got a lot of dowry from Roop Bala's parents. So dowry playing a very important role in women's lives. Widows, I told you already, child brides, abandoned women, how they are at the mercy of their relatives in the family. Societal impact on marital relationships. Ratan Chandra Banerjee decides to go on a holiday, and I'll just read out this part. Why this desire to break loose suddenly and go for a holiday? Could it be the fact that he had never yet spoken directly to his 15-year-old daughter, whose unexpected birth in the placid calm of middle age still shocked and embarrassed him? Did he suddenly want to get to know the stranger who was his wife? And finally, towards the end, when Protipa says, look, leave me alone. I'm coming back. Let me go for a while to the temples. Let me go visiting with friends and let me come back. That is the only long talk they have had in all their course of married life. So the kind of ideology that society harbored in pre-independence India, which also interfered with marital relationships, all this is what you see in Bulbul Sharma. And the colonized in pre-independence India, see, during the pre-independence period, you do find that the fight for independence has already started. And every day when they come in Shimla, Anima, one of the aunts, she sees trains bearing the Indians and the British. The British walk head high, proud, and they don't have any questions to answer anybody. The Indians come cowering, they're shivering in their boots literally. Where are you from? How long are you going to be? Why did you choose to leave your state and come here? Do you have any job that you're going to look for? Natives forced to answer a lot of questions in their own countries like foreigners, while the real foreigners walk head high, scot-free, as if they are the natives. So these are the societal issues that Bulbul Sharma talks about. So this is my review of My Sainted Arms.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
I don't know which of this is your mood, whether you felt bored or whether you felt happy.
Yeah, it's
I
nice.
really don't know which of it this describes your mood.
Yeah.
But thank you very much. I should thank you people once again for the opportunity. Sir, you've been in touch with me. Thank you very much.
Okay, madam. Nice of you,
Thank you
madam.
for your humility. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for everything. And thank you,
Thank you, madam.
audience, for the
Okay,
patience to
madam.
listen to me.
Nice of you, because this English stories telling is different, reviewing the different stories, different content, the different aspects of it is totally different. So we are thankful for you for giving a beautiful book for our students. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.